Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Shariel and you're watching What is Millennial, where we talk about all things money that they don't teach you in school. And today we are going to be discussing random posts from the popular subreddit FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence and Retiring Early. Financial independence and retiring early, aka FIRE, is a revolutionary movement of a certain group of people that want to achieve financial independence as early in life as possible and want to retire from their high stress 9 to 5 jobs to enjoy the more finer things in life. Reddit, which is a popular forum on the internet, has a group dedicated to such people, and on this group, random people like you and I can post or comment about our fire journey or read about the fire journey that other people have created for themselves and gain inspiration from these sort of posts. So what I do on these videos is I dig up certain posts from this particular subreddit that I find interesting and react to those posts and try to think about what I would do if I was in the author situation for that particular post. So for today, I have already dug up a few posts that I found interesting, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at these posts one by one, and we'll be reacting to this post. So let's jump right in. So as you can see on your screen, I have this subreddit Financial Independence and Retiring Early open in front of me, and I already have selected a few posts that I want to be reacting to today. So without further ado, let's jump into the very first post that I have and see what the post has to offer. Alright, so this post says, need advice on investing, need 2 cents on investing. 27-year-old male, single, with no kids, Roth 401k balance is $104,000. HSA balance is $4,500. Emergency fund is $15,000. And 529 plan is $4,000. I wonder why they have a 529 plan if they don't have any kids. But okay, let's keep going here. $89,000 per year income, 401k maxed out, which comes out at $19,500 into Roth 401k. Started investing $4,000 into 529 plan this year. I moved back with my parents after college graduation and helped my parents pay off 120k worth of their mortgage, so their house is now paid off, which is great. Okay, in 4 years, so definitely contributing member to society. Very common in our culture. Okay, that's great. All right, so before we go further on this post, let's just dissect what they have, right? So at 27 years old, they have a little more than $100,000 invested in the Roth 401k. So Roth 401k is basically like the traditional 401k, where it is employer sponsored, but all of your contribution to the Roth 401k is tax deductible. So if you're contributing, say, 10% of your income towards Roth 401k, you will still be liable to pay taxes at the end of the year to on that 10% that you're contributing to the Roth 401k. That being said, the advantage of the Roth 401k is that all the money that's in the Roth 401k, once you withdraw it at the or after the age of 59 and a half, all of that money can be withdrawn tax-free, completely tax-free. So even though you're paying taxes on it right now, you are paying taxes at the rate that the government has decided that their tax policies for this year, and not when not 20 years or not 30 years down the line when you don't know what the taxes are going to be. So if you fear that the taxes are going to go up in the future, it's probably a better idea to consider investing in the Roth 401k. For my position, what I do is I have the traditional 401k as well as the Roth 401k, and I pretty much do a 50-50 split between my money going into the traditional 401k and then the money going into the Roth 401k. So yeah, so there you have it, the HSA. So HSA basically is a health savings account. That's another employer sponsored account. So basically, you contribute towards normally HSA accounts are associated with high deductible health plans. So what would happen is, if you are a healthy individual, you would get the high deductible health plan, which means you'll pay less in insurance premiums every single month, but a certain amount of money you will contribute or save towards future health crises that you may have, right? So it's like a savings account, sort of an investment account, because at least I know with my HSA, I can invest my money in the market, and yeah, this person probably can do that as well. But it's probably a good idea to just contribute a little bit of money towards future health issues that may arise, right? I mean, health is really anybody's guess. You can do whatever you can to stay fit, but beyond a certain point, it's really it's really nobody's guarantee what's going to happen to you. So it's probably best to save a little bit for health emergencies. Then they have $15,000 in emergency fund, which is great, right? I mean, at 27 years of age, they have 89, almost $90,000 coming in income every single year. But even with I wouldn't say it's on the high side, but it's not on the low side either. It's kind of a moderate income. But even with that, they have that much money saved up. They have maxed out their 401k already, and they help to pay off their parents' home, which was worth $120,000. So great achievement. I'm probably thinking they have been working for a few years at this point. That's why they've been able to get to this point in life. But let's keep going with the post and see what other things they have to offer for us, right? All right. So, however, lately I have been thinking that I will need my own place. So, with keeping current situation and financials in mind, so I'm closing in on my condo in 2 months. Great. Okay. Which I plan to which I plan to give out for rental. And once I'm ready to commit or settle down, I can move into condo later down the road. FYI, I'm putting 20% down on the condo, and monthly payments come out just fine. I have good emergency fund to cover for the condo in case renter decides not to pay. But with maxing out my 401k, HSA plan, and Georgia 529 plan, where else can I invest my money? Talking with my friends a few months ago, it seems to me like that I'm behind in my 401k and they are way ahead of me. I started 401k at 24, while one of my friends started at 21. I didn't start my 401k until I was 27. So there you have it. Where would you invest money if you were in my shoes? Keep maxing out 401k and put my paycheck towards principal on condo so I can pay off mortgage debt quickly, or should I save up more money if life gets in the way? Okay. So let's just discuss that, right? So I guess one of the things they could definitely look at is opening a Roth IRA account. Roth IRA is pretty much like the 401k where you start putting money in it. The only caveat is that Roth IRA has a limit of $6,500, I believe, at the moment for the year. And you can put that money that will be post-tax money going into the Roth IRA, but all of the money that you put in will grow completely tax-free, for you to take advantage of, again, like the Roth 401k after 59 and a half years of age. But as long as the money has been in the Roth IRA for at least 5 years, all of your contributions to the Roth IRA can be withdrawn just like a savings account, completely tax-free and completely penalty-free. So completely tax-free because you're already paying taxes on it upfront before the money goes into the account, and then penalty-free because that's just a rule where you have to have the money sitting in the Roth 401 or Roth IRA for at least 5 years before you start touching that money. So with that being said, that's a good option. Instead of paying mortgage payments, and I think we have discussed this in a previous video also, mortgage is a pretty cheap debt right now. Most mortgages, I believe this person has a pretty good credit, so they were probably able to get their condo at less than 3% interest rate per year. So if that's the case, then your condo really is a cheap debt to have. So if you just keep making whatever your monthly mortgage payments are every single month, and then investing the remaining money either through a Roth IRA, or if time comes to it, you could also invest in a brokerage account. But that money is probably going to grow faster than your mortgage is going to gain value. So that's pretty much how my wife and I we are handling our situation as well. So we have a small condo, that we pay towards, but our interest rate is pretty low at this point. It's pretty close to 3%. So we pay whatever whatever our mortgage monthly payment is, but any money beyond that, we pretty much invest in the market. The S&P 500, for example, has performed roughly at 10% on an average for the past 100 years. Every single year for the past 100 years. And I'm not saying that historical returns are a guarantee of future returns. But with the S&P 500 or with any mutual fund or an index, right? You are diversified between different securities for your investment. So it's probably worth taking that risk where you're putting more money into the market that's gaining you 7 to 8 to 10% every single year, versus your mortgage that is only costing you about 3%, or probably even less than 3% for this certain individual here, right? So I think that's what I would do if I was in this situation. I think they have a pretty good thing going on for themselves, where they already have a certain amount of money saved up and invested. But beyond that, I think definitely, definitely consider opening up the Roth IRA, because your income is at that point where you can still, you are still eligible to open a Roth IRA. And great job on getting a condo at 27 years of age. That's pretty good. Um, but yeah, so keep grinding and keep putting as much money away as possible, right? I mean, definitely this person will achieve financial independence, pretty early on in their life. There's no doubt about that. So, all right. With that said, if you're still watching at this point, definitely consider liking this video down below and subscribing to my channel, because that really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're liking this content, if you like this video and comment down below, it really shows me that you're enjoying this sort of format, and I should be focusing on making more videos like this. So, with that being said, let's move on to the next post. All right, that looks like an interesting one. So, at what point can you justify quitting your high paying job for a less stressful, decent paying job? Okay, cool. 23 mil, just hit net worth of 125K, 100K in VTI, which is a Vanguard Global Index Fund, and 25K in cash. Okay, no loans, no debt. Awesome. My current job pays 130K post tax, and I've been at it for roughly 18 months now. I live with roommates, and because of my job, pretty much use meal replacement drinks for every meal except dinner. So my cost of living, including rent, is under 1,200 bucks a month. That's amazing, right? I mean, um, see, this is where the concept of lifestyle creep comes into play. So lifestyle creep is basically, as your income keeps growing every single year, you increase or upscale your lifestyle to match that certain income you are making. But looks like this person hasn't done that yet. But at the same time, they're only 23, so they probably have just graduated college and are working in a finance job or something like that. So that's why they're making a good amount of money. It's definitely a high income to have 130K coming into your bank account post tax every single year. So that leaves you with what, a little more than $10,000 every single month to play with and invest, right? But even with that sort of money, they are still living with roommates. They are still, their still cost of living is pretty low. If you consider 1,200 bucks a month, that's roughly 10% of what they're making every single month as their entire cost of living. So that's not bad at all. So let's keep going. Let's keep reading the post here. The job I have is extremely draining. I also don't get days off besides federal holidays. I work 65 hours a week, come home and pretty much on my phone every 10 minutes for work-related phone calls. Spend 10 to 15K a year on very nice vacations, okay. But I'm stuck on my laptop 9 to 10 hours a day while on said vacations because of the job. Should I tough this out while I'm still young? I'm pretty much run on energy drinks and caffeine every day. Get less than 7 hours of sleep every night. I dread going to work because of how stressful it is, but the money is extremely good. I grew up poor and as a result sort of worships money. Um, yeah, so I think what I would do in this situation is, since this person is only 23, they're pretty young and they have been doing this for a while, and sounds like they're draining themselves. But at the same time, since you're only 23, I would probably continue doing it for a couple more years and putting away as much money as possible. I would also consider maybe not taking those vacations for a couple years, since you're anyway working on those vacations, and putting away that extra 10 to 15K, each year, every single year, towards your retirement or towards your savings or investments, right? And that will give you a pretty good boost. That will give a pretty good boost to your savings overall. And at that point, you can decide to, either not work at all or look at a more, how should I say, stress-free or a less stressful job, right? So I think in financial independence, there's a concept called the barista fire, where you achieve a certain level of financial independence. Where, say, if your living expenses are $40,000 a year, based on the mathematics of fire, you have to have $1 million saved up to get $40,000 from your investments every single year. But with barista fire, you can get to the point where you are getting $30,000 out of your investments every single year, and then for the remaining $10,000 of your expenses every single year, you go out and work a decent job. So that job could be a cashier at Walmart, or a barista at Starbucks, or something like that. Something that's not as draining, something that you can do part time, something that if you don't want to do it, you can just quit on a whim and do something else, things of that nature. So if you keep doing this for the next couple years until you hit 25, I think you will have a decent amount of money saved up where you will be more confident with your financial situation. Maybe look into getting a property at some point, maybe a small house or a condo so you can, still live with roommates but charge them rent so they can pay you money, and you can pretty much, build equity in your home for free. And with that, you could also look into charging a little bit more money depending on what area you live in, to cover a portion of your living expenses every single month. Like you said, your living expenses aren't that expensive. So even with what you have 125K saved up, right? So let's just pull up our calculator real quick. So 125,000 times 4% is 5,000. All right, so you roughly need about 3 times the money you have saved up right now, to be financially independent based on your living expenses right now. So if you're, let's just say your monthly expenses are 1,200, or let's divide by, oh, my bad, 1,200 times 12 divide by, so so you roughly need $360,000 based on your current living expenses, to be called financially independent. So within a couple years, within 3 years, if you're able to achieve that, that will leave you with the choice to either quit your current job and work a more stress-free job like a Starbucks barista, or take a pay cut and do a much more less stressful job at the same company and still keep building a more and a better net worth than the 360,000 like we just discussed. So, all right. So, like that being said, I guess we'll move on to the next post. But before we do, definitely consider liking this video down below and subscribing to my channel for more similar content. And with that said, I guess I definitely want to consider looking at this post because I found this very, very intriguing. So this basically says, trying to get my fiance to be more financially savvy. All right, let's start reading this post. So it says, we are both 24. When we first started dating, we were both making around the same money, less than 30K a year. I already had some savings, couple thousand, and she was pretty much check to check. She also had a bit of credit card debt that I paid off when I found out about it a couple years in. Both of us are making more now than we did then, but she's still living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, I think that's a big problem, living paycheck to paycheck, because like we discussed earlier, the concept of lifestyle creep. So what this person has done here is, when they were making $30,000 a year, they were used to a certain lifestyle, but now they're making more money, but they're still living paycheck to paycheck. Means that they have upgraded their lifestyle. They've either changed their apartments and are now living in a more fancier apartment, or bought a better car or a bigger car, so that they just feel more confident about themselves. But in turn, what's happening is they're still living paycheck to paycheck. So after 2 job changes this year, I'm now making 70% more than I was to start the year. So that's great, right? I mean, they're already beating inflation by what, 65% roughly for the year. I'm in a position to pretty much cover rent for both of us, but I'm hesitant to do so, rightfully so. Okay. Basically, what I've noticed is that no matter how much help I give her, she still ends up living paycheck to paycheck. I started buying all our groceries a couple years ago when my income started to outpace hers, and it didn't make a difference. Meanwhile, I've amassed nearly 100K net worth. So basically, my thought becomes, if she's not covering living expenses, the money is still going to end up gone. If she helps out with expenses, I'm going to have more to invest, which helps both of us in the long run. Yeah, I guess their issue here is that they're helping their fiance so much that because of all the help the fiance is getting from this particular person, that that got a 70% bump there in their pay. The fiance has pretty much gotten used to all that money and used to the situation that if they ever have financial troubles, somebody's there to help them out. So that's why they're not scared about going out and spending as much money as possible. I'm not sure if their credit card debt has now been paid off or not, but the fact that they're still living paycheck to paycheck, whereas this other person has already amassed 100K in net worth, it's it's astonishing, right? Because they're pretty much living under the same roof. They're pretty much eating the same thing every single day, kind of making similar amounts of money. But one person is living paycheck to paycheck with $0 left over in their bank account at the end of the month, and the other person has $100,000 worth of net worth. So, I guess the importance of money and the value of saving and investing needs to be realized with this person that is living paycheck to paycheck. It can be hard. Basically being fiance is pretty close to your wedding, but I think it's important for this other person to realize that before they get married, because otherwise it's gonna this wedding's gonna end up in a disaster, if it ever happens, because one person is financially savvy, the other person just wants the next best thing always, and that's a recipe for disaster. As when you want to achieve financial independence sooner, or even when you have certain financial goals you want to achieve in life, it may not be retiring early, it may still be retiring at 60, 65 years of age, but you need to be on the same page as far as your finances are concerned. Otherwise, your wedding is gonna end up being ruined pretty soon. I guess finances is a major reason why couples get divorced these days, and because of that, this particular person that has saved up 100K in net worth, they really need to consider, before jumping into this wedding, right, with this particular person. What I would recommend is maybe living apart for some time. Um, you know, you can, maybe move out and live with your parents, or move out and get a new home, and try to get roommates, or maybe move out of town to get a different job. But this other person that is not saving any money at all, um, she needs to live by herself for the time being to understand the worth of money and the value of money, because sounds like she's just getting everything handed to her on the silver platter, and she's really not concerned about her not having any money saved up in case of emergencies, or her not being able to make any money at some point, because somebody else is providing for her every single day. And that's a really bad situation to be in for the guy who is saving money. And um, you know the good thing is that they are not married yet, so they still have time to figure things out. And it would be really bad for this person if they were still to go through with this wedding at some point, and still have this person who is not financially savvy and is spending any money that came across their bank account every single month, right? And I guess the more easier approach would be to sit down and have a conversation about money, because you need to be clear on what your goals are as a couple together. If your goals are achieving financial independence or having kids at some point and paying for their entire life pretty much, right? I mean, paying for their life until they graduate from college, um, you know um, or even settling down, buying a house, buying a decent car at some point. And if those are the sort of goals you have, you need to be on the same page as far as if she has the same goals or not. And if she has the same goals, then and only then it makes sense to really move ahead with that person in life, right? But all of these things need to be talked about before you go through with the wedding. Definitely have clarity on financial things, because otherwise, it's gonna get harder and harder at life as life goes on, and this person doesn't realize that money is really important in life. So with that being said, we'll take a look at another post real quick, and then call it good. So, all right, shorter one, cool. So, need 2 cents on investing. 30 years old, recently married, no kids. Okay, great. 150K your household income, which is not bad. 401K max out, that's amazing. 23% of paycheck goes into investment account, mostly blue chip companies, ETFs and REITs. Total 20K invested so far. 25K cash in emergency fund, 15K car debt, 500K mortgage. Recently received 40K after taxes from my company acquisition, and will get 75K more in the next 2 years as a retention bonus. Where would you invest this money if you were in my shoes? Put it in dividend stocks, invest in crypto, or think about getting an out of state rental property. Ooh, that's a really interesting one. So what I would do with that money is I'd probably consider getting Airbnb sort of property in somewhere in Florida. So I would probably hire a property manager and just have them take care of the property for me, and then just generate Airbnb or rental income out of it. Um, and you could pretty much do two things with this money, right? You said you have um, you just received 40K, so yeah, so I'd probably go out and get the rental property first, and then it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You'll probably get something close to 200 to 50K, um, and 75K more in the next couple years. The 75K can bit by bit go in a brokerage account like Robinhood, say for example, where you could still continue buying more stocks. Your 401k doesn't really have to be your only investment. You can buy stocks and ETFs and all those things outside of your 401k. But I would recommend really something super conservative like the S&P 500 tracking ETF or something like that. And I would just bit by bit throw in money towards the index fund or towards the ETF. And maybe, I mean, just this is what I would do, but I definitely consider putting some money towards Bitcoin or Ethereum, just because there's so much hype surrounding those cryptocurrencies right now. So yeah, that seems like an easy one. Definitely in a good situation. They have good amount of money coming in over the next couple of years, which is amazing. Um, so yeah, so good luck with your investing journey. And that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Definitely tap the like button below and subscribe to my channel below if you like this video. And comment down below about what in particular you liked about this, and if you have any other investing advice or suggestions for any of the posts we discussed early on in this video. And that being said, I'll see you again in my next video. Thanks so much for watching tonight. See ya.